I love being Zibby's guest on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books because Zibby has a way of asking really tough questions in an incredibly open and warm-hearted and friendly way.
What I love about talking to Zibby Owens is that she makes you feel so comfortable that you don't even know she's asking you questions.
She gets you. She goes for it. She gets in there and she asks the questions that moms that don't have time to read necessarily, that are listening, want to know. And then she gets you hooked, of course, because then you want to read the book. I can't tell you how many moms, after listening to my podcast with Zibby and so many other podcasts that Zibby has done, went out and bought the books because the podcast is so compelling and she's so wonderful and real and authentic and a great, great interviewer.
Hey, I'm Zibby Owens. I'm the creator and host of the podcast Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. I'm also a writer and a mom of 4. The reason I want to turn my podcast into a show is to give the writers that I interview a better platform. I think that reading is so important. I think especially people like moms or dads or people who are just busy, which is basically everyone, they don't always have the time to sift through all the books out there and figure out which is best. So I handpick some ones that I'm super interested in. And I don't have allegiance to anyone or anything. I only pick books that really sound good because I have to sit and read them. And I don't have a lot of time either. A lot of people have been asking me, how do I listen to a podcast? I don't even know what to do. So I wanted to show you. And this is the highlights. It's my 1-minute summary of the coolest stuff that's happened in the book world this week. And I'm calling it the highlights because we all have time to read books while we're getting our highlights done. I also have a background in writing myself. I published my first essay in 17 magazine when I was 16 years old. I then went to Yale and wrote for the Yale Herald newspaper. I have freelanced for Redbook, Marie Claire, Self, Shape, Modern Bride, Quest, Avenue, and many other print publications. Recently, I started writing for a lot of online publications, including HuffPost, where my first essay got 65,000 reads within the first week. I'm a contributor to the Today Show parenting team website, and I've gotten 100,000 reads from my few articles that I've written for them. I'm a fellow at a website called Kveller, where I write regularly, and have also contributed numerous articles to Scary Mommy and other websites. I'm really involved with the New York Public Library, and for the last 3 years I've been co-chairing the Library Lunch, where we have a panel of authors. I try to raise money for libraries. This is not just a podcast for women's commercial fiction or one type of book. This is all types of books, from children's books to young adult fiction, memoirs, parenting advice books, business books, anything that really captures my interest. I've had on several young adult fiction writers who my kids have really liked, like Jeff Norton wrote a book called Alienated, which my son and I read together, and it's like his favorite book, so he actually interviewed him with me on the show, which was really amazing. My daughter had to read a book for school that I thought was great, and I was like, this author's amazing, so she's coming on the show, and my daughter's gonna help interview her. Kwame Alexander, another great pick of my son's. Some children's books for my little guys, like Susan Verde, who wrote I Am Human, which has been on the bestseller list. I also interviewed a business school classmate of mine, Charles Duhigg, who wrote the book The Power of Habit. I had a really interesting interview with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, where we were sequestered in a little private room at a midtown hotel with lots of security. I loved interviewing Delia Owens. I just finished her book Where the Crawdads Sing, which has been on the bestseller list now for about 14 weeks. Sometimes I have some controversial guests as well. I interviewed James Fry, whose book A Million Little Pieces caught Oprah's attention. It was like amazing to be in the same room with him and hear what he had to say. Definitely very dark, intense guy. One author, Eliza Strauss from Confetti Cakes and Confetti Cakes for Kids, I had her come and do a little cooking segment where she taught me how to do the perfect swirl on her penguin cupcakes for the holidays. Beth Riccinati, a doctor who had written a book called Braided about her journey of 1,000 challahs. So she taught me how to make challah, and we made a video of that, which was really fun. So I've been enjoying sort of a multimedia way of getting the word out about people's skills and expertise that would help people read the books. My podcast isn't just a collection of episodes with various authors. It's actually become a real community. I keep in touch with all the writers. I introduce them to each other. I even came up with this idea to have a holiday book fair where I sold the books from all the podcasts that I had done, and I invited all the authors who I had interviewed so far, and 30 of the authors came, which was amazing. So I had a lot of my friends come to buy the books, and the authors all got to know each other, and many of them thanked me after, because writing is a very solitary field. You're at your computer, maybe you're at a library, you don't always have the opportunity to mix and mingle and get to know your peers in your industry. And I think one of the things that I'm doing with my podcast is creating a true community of writers.
My favorite thing about being a guest on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books with Zibby Owens was getting a chance to talk not just about food, not just about writing, but about everything. About life, about communication, about work-life balance. She covers every topic, and it's just really fun to dig deep inside and get some of that out with someone who has so much to say.
I've known Zibby probably my entire life, and watching her as a professional, an author with a podcast is very inspiring to me. She asked me, she's like, how do you do it? And I was like, how do you do it? And she gave me a lot of advice and tips, and it was really good to learn from her with 4 kids and a husband and a dog that Zibby has. She's really amazing.
Oh my gosh, the best part of my podcast has been meeting these amazing authors. I feel like authors are total rock stars. I have piles of books everywhere. One room we've even color-coded all the books because we have so many books. My kids know that we get gifts like on birthdays and Hanukkah, but the exception to that rule is anytime they want to buy a book, we can buy a book. Books are my greatest indulgence. I think it makes such a difference for people to see who's talking. I mean, radio and podcasts, it's all great, and I love it, but there's just something different about getting to watch somebody talk. I think that the times that I've done recorded live podcasts or live events make the connection to the authors that much stronger. It's just a lot. There's just so much that can be done, and I'm really excited for what 2019 has in store.